All right, thanks for tuning in again, guys. Just got back from an exciting adventure where I backpacked into the incredible Reflection Canyon outside of Escalante, Utah. Gonna do another YouTube video based on some background on the hike, the trailhead, accessing the trailhead. But today, as you can see, I have gear everywhere for what I took out there with me when me and my buddy Nate backpacked in and stayed at Reflection Canyon for the night. So just gonna get right into it. First thing I'm gonna show you is my backpack here behind me. This is the Osprey 65 liter Atmos. It's a big pack. This is what I take on single or multi-night backpacking trips. This pack has been amazing for me. Love it. Has a suspension kind of anti-gravity system by Osprey in the back here. Super comfortable, especially on a hike like this where I had to load it down with lots of gear. So let's get right into probably one of the most important things on this hike is water. You have to bring in 4 to 6 liters. You have to bring in 4 to 6 liters of your own water on this hike. There is no creek or stream, and it's incredibly difficult to access the water down in the reservoir. So I'm just gonna start there and say, make sure you bring water. The hike is basically an 8-mile hike to reach the viewpoint, 16, maybe more miles total, but you need water on this one. We did see some pools of like stagnant water. I would only drink that in worst case scenario. So I'm going to show you the few different water systems that Nate let me borrow. This is by, I think, Onic Outdoors. This is a 2-liter water bladder. I also carried in a very large Nalgene by REI. This one is, I think, 50 ounces. So another 1.5 liters was in there. And then I did electrolytes in this bottle here, as well as those to the side. I had, while I was hiking, Nate let me borrow this bladder system that I plugged in, which was super convenient, so I didn't have to stop. And this had another 2 liters of water, so 2, 4, in between 5 and 6 liters of water. We also needed some of that water to cook with, so that was super helpful to have water to spare, especially in an area where you basically won't come across any streams. There were these kind of puddle looking pools, but like I said, extremely questionable to drink from those. I did bring a water filter just in case, but we never actually used it. So that's one of the main things you'll need for this hike is lots of water heading into a dry, arid place. Keep that in mind. I'm going to kind of pull things out of my pack and talk about them individually. We did this hike in basically late March, so early spring. I carried with me this Montbell extremely packable puffy jacket that I packed down. That was in the pack. I brought a buff. I heard it can get very windy back there. It was windy when we first arrived at the viewpoint, so I like to wear a buff to cover my neck from the sun and to kind of cover my face if ever sand or dust and dirt is blowing around. I brought the Black Diamond headlamp here. Love this piece of gear because you can recharge this one and you don't need batteries with it. So definitely bring a headlamp out there with you. Great opportunities for astrophotography, star photography. I went out and shot the moon lighting up the canyon, which was really awesome and just a really unique perspective. On to some of my backpacking kit. This is the REI Stratus AirPad. Definitely want one of these. We slept out on the rocks. It was a little challenging to set our tents up there, but we used other rocks kind of on the perimeter of each tent because you can't pound in your tent stakes. So put this pad down. It was pretty comfortable for me. I got this as part of a REI backpacking set that you can buy from them. Throw that to the side. Next thing I brought, of course, a sleeping bag. This is the Trailbreak 30 degree temperature range, probably down to 29 with this one. It was springtime when we did this hike, so highly recommend having a winter rated sleeping bag to keep you warm out there, as well as various layers that I'm going to show you in a second here. I hiked out in a sun hoodie by Cool, as well as a pair of Cool hiking pants. For treks like this, I always have a GPS unit on me. Nate had a Garmin. I have a Spot device, which has been pretty solid for me. Always recommend when you're out in remote places to bring one of these along with you. So there's my GPS unit. Gonna start with right on the strap here. I use the Peak Design capture clip, and then I'll show you the camera gear that I bring out on my backpacking trips at the end, but this makes it super convenient to just quickly have my camera hanging from me, pull the camera off and slip it right back on. I usually rock the R4 with the 55 as I'm hiking down the trail. Go into the top of my pack here. Little toiletry kit, just contact solution, toothpaste, toothbrush. Try to keep that pretty minimal. Extra pair of hiking socks, and then a dry bag that had some of my electronics and a backup battery pack in there to charge things like the headlamp or my phone for some phone videos. What else is in the brain here? I did bring the Be Free bottle by Katadyn. This is a 1 liter, didn't fill it and never actually used it, but I kind of brought it in case we ran out of water. That was one of the things I researched when looking into this hike, is that you do want maybe an extra system for water with you. Up top here, I also had a snack bag, some RX bars, my reusable spoon and fork for eating at night, and then just a few other miscellaneous things, a mosquito coil. That's the brain of my pack, so we're going to kind of open it up and go on to what else is on the interior here. Super important component. This is the Nemo, let's see the model on this, Divide and Conquer. This is basically this is the Dragonfly 1P backpacking tent. I love this tent, especially for when I'm going out by myself without our dog and my wife. This one's really good. It takes up a really small footprint in your backpacking pack, which I really like. That goes on the side of my pack, as well as I had a stove. We brought 2 of these back there, with the Jetboil gas inside, so that kind of packs up really nice and convenient, with the nice measuring cup that sits at the base here. Definitely good to have a stove if you want to cook a warm meal while you're back there. Always recommend having a stove. We had 2, so if you were going out as a 2-person party, you could bring one of those and save some weight. I have my Melly Melanzana hoodie in there. Got pretty chilly at night, so having some layers like this plus the puffy jacket were super helpful. What else do I have in here? So I have a bag of a backpacking meal that we didn't eat. We ended up splitting a 2-person meal while we were in there. So I have an oatmeal in here and just some other packaging and wrappers. Take a side moment to say, anything you bring back, please pack out, leave no trace, keep this place special and clean. It's very beautiful back there. Please do your part in packing out everything that you bring in. And then what else do I have down here? Brought a pair of gloves. I didn't use those, but if you went earlier in March or were out there on a cold night, definitely would want some gloves. I also brought a beanie with me. And then I had a rain cover for my pack just in case any moisture was going to come down. We got exceptionally good weather, which I'm really fortunate for, so glad we got some nice weather while we were out there. And then down here in the very bottom of my pack, I have a packing cube. where I kept some additional layers. I did bring thermals back. Like I said, we went in late March, so having some thermal layers was super important for us. I did wear them at night, took them off when I was hiking during the day, but I brought some long underwear and a thermal top to put on under those other layers that I was telling you about. That pretty much concludes the pack. We'll move on to camera gear in just a moment. But in the side pockets here, I have some additional snacks like peanut butter pretzels, as well as some, pistachios and some higher density protein and nuts on the side pockets there. On one side, I had that large Nalgene as well as the Peak Design tripod. I knew I wanted a tripod back there with me, so I had carried an extra heavy pack in, but I knew we would be drinking through some of the water, so that was on the side here. Over on this side, I had the other Nalgene with the electrolytes in it. Basically kind of adding some electrolytes to that bottle let me stretch that water a little bit further and helped replenish me when I did get thirsty out there. Love that Osprey pack, by the way. Osprey, if you're watching this, send us some backpacks for our Machu Picchu trip coming up. Yay! All right, on to camera kit really quick. I brought in this Eagle Creek packet. It's just like kind of like a lunchbox for your camera gear. 2 extra batteries in there. I had my Sony a7R IV with me. A lot of times when hiking, I will just keep the 55mm lens on there and kind of rock with that hanging from the backpacking, the Peak Design clip. And then the other lens I brought was the 16-35 G Master. Between the 55 and this, that's all I really needed to cover everything out there. You could probably do a 24-70. I would not recommend bringing in a 70-200. It's kind of unnecessary, but there were some really cool mountain views as you went in. But this is the extent of my camera kit. 1 camera body, 2 lenses inside this Eagle Creek packet, as well as my Peak Design tripod, and that was kind of all I needed for camera gear. So I tried to keep that a little bit more on the slim side, just knowing how much water we had to bring in for this hike. So there was another group out there. We were 2 of 4 people out there, so I'll explain that further when I break down the hike a little bit more, but super unique to be back there with very little people. It's hard to find places like that anymore. But the thing I was going to say was they had hiking poles. That's something you could bring on this one. The trail does this, a lot of like rolling up and down hills, not like a hiking up to 13,000 foot passes in Colorado, but it does have a lot of rolling hills. So for some people, hiking poles would be helpful. I left mine behind because I was starting to take a look at how much gear I had. So keep that in mind as you're filling your pack, and then keep in mind how much the water is gonna weigh. I hope you found this video insightful. I will also have a blog post that goes along with all of the gear pack list videos, listing all the equipment I brought, including the photography gear, tripod, and everything, and some optional gear that you might want to bring with you. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this was insightful. Drop any questions you might have in the comment section below. Be happy to answer those. Follow along on Instagram. It's FreeWater. That's FR33 Water. And follow all my adventures and check out my shots from Reflection Canyon there. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more content. I'll be rolling out a video that breaks down this hike in the next week or 2. So follow along for more posts like this. And I will also have a corresponding blog post that lists the trail location, the all trails, how rough the road was, and the gear that you need. And maybe you learned a thing or 2 from today's video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.